So thanks everyone. Thanks for everyone joining us this evening. Welcome to the Youth Peace Summit Day 2. We're really excited about today's session. We've got a fantastic partnership with EcoResolution, which we're excited to tell everyone about. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about building bridges for equality, and also we're going to learn a lot about environmental justice as well in this session too. So we'd like to welcome Christabel and Ruby Reed from EcoResolution, and they're co-founders of Advire as well. And we're going to hear a lot more about it today. And then we're also really excited for them kindly arranging a special conversation with Satish Kumar and hearing about your long-standing career in peace work and environmental justice. I think you couldn't think of a more fitting speaker to talk about peace work and environmental social justice today in the week of the Nobel Peace Prize being awarded. So we're really excited to welcome everybody. So yeah, if we could welcome Christabel and Ruby to talk about your work.
Good.
Thank you, Sat. It's a real honour to have been invited. Ruby and I are really inspired by the work of the Renaissance Foundation and all the young people who you work with as well. I had the pleasure of meeting some of them whilst doing a podcast a few months ago. Time's going so quickly at the moment. And yeah, when we were asked about kind of joining this Peace Summit, we immediately asked if it would be okay for us to invite one of our greatest inspirations and teachers, Satish Kumar, who greatly inspired the start of our work, and which Ruby's going to tell you a little bit about now. But yeah, just to say thank you so much for inviting us. It's a real honour to be here.
Thank you so much to everybody, and especially to Satish for joining us. It's such an honour, as Christabel has said. We came together, we're sisters, and we came together about 5-6 years ago, wanting to organise gatherings to explore the interconnections between ecology, or the environment, spirituality, and well-being, and an expanded sense of well-being that's the health of people and of planet. And we wanted to create opportunities for learning as a community, deeper sense of purpose and belonging, and cultures of well-being for all. And we were so inspired by Satish's books and this message of interconnection that he often speaks about, that links together inner transformation with outer change. And later on, we started another organisation called My EcoResolution, and just recently a charity called Initiative Earth, which are both focused on environmental education, exploring some of the complex challenges we face, but most importantly, exploring solutions and how we can play a role in co-creating a really beautiful vision of the future. And we tend to work in 5 key areas, which are raising awareness, education, empowering action, so helping people to find their voice for positive change and believing that we can all make a difference, and also creating community, celebrating life, so this idea of finding joy and re-enchantment in our work and in life, and finally improving well-being. So, yeah.
And Satish Kumar is an incredibly special individual. Satish is a former monk and a long-term peace and environmental activist. Satish has been quietly setting the global agenda for change for over 50 years. Much over 50 years, and just with when he was just 9, he left his family home to join the wandering Jains, and then when he was 18, he decided actually he wants to be participating more in the world and less within his just own community, and so he went back into the world to campaign for land reform in India and to turn Gandhi's vision of a renewed India and a peaceful world into reality. And then he did this amazing thing where in his early 20s, he was inspired by the British peace activist Bertrand Russell. And so Satish embarked on this 8,000-mile peace pilgrimage, carrying no money, depending on just the kindness and hospitality of strangers. And he and a colleague walked from India to America via Moscow, London, and Paris, to deliver a humble packet of peace tea to each of the world leaders of the then 4 nuclear powers. And in 1973, Satish settled in the UK, becoming the editor of Resurgence magazine, which Ruby and I are very, very privileged to be trustees of. This is a really, really beautiful publication all around positive stories and environmentalism and art and spirituality and well-being. Satish then founded the Schumacher College in Devon, in South Devon, which offers amazing deep courses in transformation and all different kinds of holistic work. And then in his 50th year, Satish took another pilgrimage, but this time around the UK, just 2,000 miles instead of 8,000, still very, very long, visiting all the holy places of the UK, and a venture that he describes as a celebration of his love of life and nature. And Satish continues to do incredible work today, and is a very sought after speaker and an author of many, many, many books. So Satish, thank you for being here today. We'd love just to have a kind of open conversation with you. You inspire us every time we speak to you, and always deepen up Ruby and my understanding of peace and kind of why we do what we do. To start, I'd love just to hear your opinion on what does it mean to be an activist for peace? Like, what does peace mean to you? What does activism mean to you?
Thank you very much, Christabel, for your warm and very complimentary, lovely introduction. Peace for me is not only an absence of war. Peace is not just an absence of conflict. Peace is a positive power and a positive force and a positive way of life. So I say the peace should be seen as 3 levels. Number 1, peace within. Unless we are in peace within ourselves, unless we make peace of mind, peace of heart, peace in our soul, peace in our own life, peace with ourselves, we cannot make peace in the world. So peace begins from yourself, from myself. Like charity begins at home, peace begins at home. So that's the first step. The second step is that we have to make peace everybody, all people, irrespective of their nationality, religion, politics, race, color, whatever their differences there may be, we have to make peace, because before anybody is an American or European or African or Asian or Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or black or white, all these labels, they are just labels. They are not reality. The reality is that before all these labels, we are all human beings. And so at that level, we make peace with everybody, whoever you are. You may be a Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or Hindu or Jain or black or white or man or woman or African or Asian or American or European, whoever you are, we make peace with everybody. That's a second. The third piece is making peace with nature. At the moment, humanity is almost like being at war with nature. The way we are destroying our rainforests, the way we are polluting our oceans and filling our oceans with plastic and all the rubbish, and the way we are treating our soil with chemicals and fertilizers and depleting the soil. And so this is not living in peace with nature. So third piece is peace with nature, peace with planet Earth, because planet Earth is our home, only home we have. And if we destroy our home, where are we going to go? And therefore, we have to make peace with planet home, Earth home. So these are the 3 levels of peace. Peace within yourself, peace with all people, and peace with nature and planet Earth.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Satish. And I'd love to know what inspired you to do that incredible 8,000 mile walk, because before that you'd been, well, obviously you grew up in India and you were a Jain monk, and then you turned from your deep focus on spirituality and spiritual liberation through Jainism to wanting to do healing and kind of healing work in the world. But what was the inspiration behind this really long walk and to walk to each of these nuclear powers at the time, the four nuclear powers?
Yes. I mean, my inspiration came from, I was following Mahatma Gandhi. And Mahatma Gandhi was a man of peace in every way. And he believed in non-violence. Non-violence to yourself, non-violence to other people, and non-violence to nature. So non-violence and peace are synonymous. They're very, very similar. So, but as a Gandhian, I came across a piece of news that a 90-year-old philosopher in England called Bertrand Russell was protesting against the bomb, against weapons, against war, against arms race. And while he was protesting against the bomb, the nuclear weapons, he was arrested because he will not move from in front of the defense ministry in London. And so he was arrested and put in jail for 1 week. And when I read this, I said, oh, here is a man of 90 going to jail for peace in the world. What am I doing, young man, sitting here drinking coffee in a coffee house? And so that was the inspiration. And so I was with a friend and we said, what do we do? How do we join the international peace movement led by Bertrand Russell? And so we decided that there are 4 nuclear powers at the moment: Moscow, Paris, London, Washington. Let's go there. How do we go? If we go by aeroplane, nobody will take any notice. Who are we? 26-year-old, 27-year-old young man, Satish Kumar and E.P. Menon. Nobody will take any notice. So we thought that let's do something dramatic so that people become interested. Media become interested. Universities become interested. Newspapers become interested. So we decided that we will walk from India to Moscow, to Paris, to London, to Washington, these 4 nuclear capitals. And we'll walk without any money in our pocket, depending completely on the strangers. Because when you have money, you go to sleep in a bed and breakfast or in a hotel. And when you are hungry, you go to a restaurant and you buy your food, you eat in a cafe or in a restaurant. But when you have no money, then you are forced to find someone to give you hospitality. That means that you have to trust. Now, war begins in fear and peace begins in trust. If you want peace in the world, you have to trust people, not fear. And so we said, we will set an example of trusting the world, trusting ourselves and trusting the world. So we went through Muslim countries, Christian countries, communist countries, capitalist countries. We stayed with poor people. We stayed with the rich people. We were received in the Kremlin. We were received in the White House. We met Bertrand Russell. We met Martin Luther King. We had an amazing time for 2.5 years, 8,000 miles. And we saw so much of the world. So that was the great inspiration from Bertrand Russell. The 90-year-old old man inspired the 2 young men. So old can be young in heart. So young means you have to be adventurous, you have to be courageous, you have to put your life online and be an activist. And so Bertrand Russell was my inspiration. And that was the reason that I walked around the world.
Amazing. I love that story so much. And it reminds me when you were saying about, needing to do something that people can take notice of, but also something peaceful as well. If we're trying to take action, if we want a more peaceful world, our action for that peaceful world must be peaceful. Otherwise, it will just be more and more violent. And it reminds me of a lot of the peace. The student climate movements that have been going on at the moment, of the school strikes and people peacefully protesting in the street, and all of that gathers so much media momentum because it's something different, it's disruptive but inherently peaceful, which is so powerful.
No, I think the action is good, and disrupting, like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, all these people who led great movements, they disrupted the system, but they did with love. They did with non-violence. So all activism should remain non-violent at any time, at all times. We should never resort to violence, because if we want to work for peace, peace with the world, peace with nature, then we have to be peaceful in our action. And if you use violence, then you are being peaceless, without peace. And so violence cannot be justified, but you can disrupt, like the Extinction Rebellion is a very great movement, but they act out of love. They don't use violence. They are completely non-violent. So I support their action. In the same way, Greta Thunberg, she's organizing, and many, many young people are organizing a Friday for Future and school strikes every Friday. And they walk and they march and they protest. And that's a good action. So any activism which is non-violent but disrupts the system, the kind of status quo. We have to challenge the status quo and be prepared to go to jail. There's no problem in going to jail, but do no harm to anybody, do not kill anybody, do not destroy anything, but just peacefully protest. But protesting is not enough. When you are protesting against the injustice, environmental injustice, social injustice, at the same time, we also have to protect what is good in our world. Indigenous cultures, local economies, arts, crafts, beauty, spirituality, these are the values. And these values are being destroyed in the name of progress, in the name of development, in the name of economic growth. All these things are being destroyed. Good things are being destroyed. So the people who protest against what is bad should also protect what is good. So protesting and protecting are two sides of the same coin. But also I say the third thing we need to do is to build something new, because always we need to build something new, alternative way of farming, alternative way of living, alternative way of arts and crafts and music and poetry and a business and a new restaurant and new library and new books. So building new alternative is also important. So my slogan is protest, protect and build. That is the environmental movement for me.
I love that.
I love that too. The theme of this webinar is building bridges, and it relates so much to everything you're talking about now, about interconnection of taking action for global peace, taking action to protect the environment, seeing the interrelationship between individual health, social health, environmental health. And why do you think it's so important to really always have these interconnections in mind when we're working for greater societies that are really centered on equality, health and happiness?
Yes, in our environmental movement and social movement, the interconnection is the most fundamental principle. Everything is related. Everything is connected. We are all connected with each other. First of all, we breathe the same air. So, I mean, all human beings breathe the same air. Even not only human beings, but even animals and plants and trees and birds breathe the same air. So when we breathe, we are connected. We drink the same water. So when we drink a glass of water, we are connected with all those living beings who are sustained by drinking water. We are all made of the same earth. We eat the food from the soil. So we are all receiving our nourishment and our livelihood and our strength and our energy all from the same sources of life. And so we are all connected. We are all interrelated, whatever your color of your skin or whatever your age, whatever the kind of species you may be, we are all dependent on our Mother Earth, Mother Nature. We are all connected. This is a fundamental principle of unity. Without unity, there cannot be diversity. And without diversity, there cannot be unity. So unity and diversity dance together. So life is manifesting in many, many forms: biodiversity, cultural diversity, linguistic diversity, religious diversity, racial diversity, truth diversity. Diversity should be celebrated. So diversity is manifestation of unity. So unity and diversity go together. So interconnectedness is the unity, and manifestation is diversity. So I adhere the principle of unity and diversity going together. And I ask people not to turn diversity into divisions, not to turn diversity into conflict, and not say, it would be boring if 7 billion people were all one religion, be it Christian or Muslim or Hindu. It would be boring if all 7 billion people were following one political system. It would be boring if all 7 billion people looked same white and no other color. The nature and evolution has created this diversity over billions of years. And so we should celebrate diversity. We should rejoice in diversity. But beyond diversity, we are one humanity. We are belonging to one earth, and we have one future because we share one planet home. So this is the beautiful idea of unity and diversity dancing together.
Love that. It makes me think about principles of nature and ecology as well, based on that fact that the more diverse an ecosystem is, the more healthy, the more harmonious, the more abundant that it is, in contrast to, for example, monocropped agriculture or industrial agriculture practices that wipe out biodiversity for like one form of the crop.
Also makes me think that, you know, about the importance of celebrating diversity and really seeing the beauty of it and allowing that celebration of diversity to be within all of our cultures, because you wouldn't want to go on a walk and see the only, you know, all the flowers looking the same, or all the trees looking the same, and all the clouds being the same, you know.
Exactly.
The world is so beautiful because every time you look, there's complexity and difference and all color. And this teaching of interconnection, which I experienced in a kind of a more experiential way through embodiment and mindfulness and yoga practices, and then more cognitively when I was reading your books and other books. And for me, it was that understanding of interconnection and, you know, the building bridges between myself and my community, myself and my environment, that has so inspired and propelled all the work that Ruby and I do together. Because before understanding that, I didn't understand that my actions that I that I was taking, you know, in London were having a massive effect on the other side of the world, you know, whether it was my consumerism, the things I ate. And in the same way that, you know, just the simplicity of when you're walking down the street, and if you lock eyes with someone and you say hello and you smile, you know, the ripple effect that our actions have, because we have this interconnected web of existence. And I love that as well when you're feeling powerless and overwhelmed, because the news is so negative, and, you know, there are these big challenges, but there's so many amazing things as well. And I think that if the news reported all the amazing things that happened at the same level as they were reporting all the bad things, I think globally we would be a lot more inspired and a lot more actively engaging in the world to continue to build, like you were saying. And I think that's been a big lesson for Ruby and I, especially in the last year, is this importance of vision. And it's easy to imagine an apocalyptic future, especially for young people. But actually, you know, the future is in our hands, you know, and in humanity's hands right now. And we have this opportunity to really turn it around through making these changes, which won't only benefit the environment, but will massively benefit the communities and ourselves.
It's like when you're riding a bicycle and you look in one direction, you take the bicycle in that direction. And right now, most of the narratives, even the films that are being made, are things like The Matrix or Mad Max, or it's all a very, very apocalyptic and dystopian, horrific environmental catastrophe, films about catastrophe. And if that's the vision that we have of our future, just like when we ride a bicycle, we'll take ourselves in that direction. And so it's about having this this vision of where we want to go. And
then actively participating to get there.
And Satish, you've spoken a lot about celebration of diversity and joy and interconnection and community. But I wonder, when you do feel that you're not making a difference, or that your actions are so tiny in comparison to the realities that we're being faced with, how do you keep going? How do you keep a sense of hope?
You know, each and every one of us have a power to influence many, many people. One person, Jesus Christ; one person, the Buddha; one person, Shakespeare; one person, Picasso; one person, Martin Luther King; one person, Mother Teresa; one person, Bangari Mathai. One person can influence many people. So one should never think that I'm very small, I am insignificant. Each one of us have a great potential to influence many, many other people. But it doesn't matter how many people you influence. Be the radiator. Like a radiator warms the room. Doesn't matter how big the radiator is and how big room the radiator warms. But radiator radiates. So each one of us can radiate our love, our compassion, our kindness, our imagination, our poetry, our music. John Lennon and John Baez, all these singers radiated their music. So do not feel small. You are great. Each one of us have a great potential, and we can all contribute whatever we can and be happy. We are here to serve the humanity. We are in the service of planet Earth, and we are here to bring social justice, environmental justice, and peace in the world, peace in our heart. If we live happily and contribute and help other people, that's all we need to do. We don't need to think about that I can do everything. It's many, many people together make the world a better place. So if you take any movement like Extinction Rebellion, is not done by one person, or Greta Thunberg is famous, but Greta Thunberg alone cannot do without the big movement behind it. Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and Greta Thunberg, all these people have many people joining together. So my suggestion is to be the change that you want to see in the world, and live your life like a radiator, radiates heat. You radiate compassion, kindness, and ecology, peace. You have to radiate peace. And then you communicate that through music, through art, through books, through speeches, through any means that you can find. Communicate that change and those ideas to other people. And then organize. There are big, big movements happening at the moment. The environmental justice and the social justice movements are becoming bigger and bigger. And the 2021 is going to be a very significant year, because climate change is becoming a big issue. And the coronavirus and this COVID-19, this is waking people up, making people realize that what we have been doing to nature has not been very good. And so nature is fighting back. And so we have to learn to live in harmony with nature. And so 2021 is going to be a very important year. And many, many governments, many businesses, many industry, universities, they are all going to change, and they are all going to embrace green economy. They are going to embrace low carbon lifestyle. They are going to decarbonize the economy. And the COP26 in Glasgow is going to be an important highlight of the year. So I think all the young people who are listening to this session with us, they should all be part of that big movement, big change. Big change is happening. We have to be part of it, and not just be the onlookers or the spectators, but we be part of the big transformative movement which is happening. And 2021 is the pivotal year for us to become involved.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Satish.
you so much.
We've got some really lovely questions from the young people and from the audience. I I wonder, I mean, you've spoken quite a bit to a few of these questions, but one question I especially love is, did you ever doubt yourself when, or lose hope when you were on your peace walk? And if you did ever lose hope or start doubting yourself, what helped you to keep on going?
Yes, once or twice in the journey, I did doubt. I did doubt because I was getting blisters and my knee was hurting and I was hungry. I was not only without money, but I was a vegetarian. And in 1960s, when I was walking, being vegetarian was very difficult. So I was hungry. Lots of people were offering me food, which was meat, and I would not eat it. So just bread and cheese and some fruit and nothing else. So I was hungry. I was tired. I was aching and my knees, getting blisters. So I had doubt. I say, oh, what am I doing? Why am I not in my nice bed and at home and being comfortable? Or why don't I go and fly to Moscow or fly to London? So I had such doubts, but that was only very rarely. When I thought about it and when I looked how people were responding, how people were being so loving and so kind, rich and poor, black and white, Christians and Muslims and Hindus and all religions, Catholics and Protestants, every religion, every kind of person offering me, strangers, hospitality, generosity, love, that was inspiring. So I regained my faith in myself. And in the end, peace has to come when you suspend your doubt. Doubt does not lead you anywhere. So even when doubt comes, you have to have an inner dialogue and you have to say to yourself that doubt is not going to lead to peace or success. You have to have a faith and you have to believe in your action. So I believed in my action, I had faith in my action, and I kept going, and in the end, I had a tremendous success. I had lots of people listening to me, universities inviting me, newspapers and media inviting me, Kremlin inviting me, the White House inviting me, the 10 Downing Street inviting me, the Guardian, the BBC, everywhere, Martin Luther King inviting me. So all these gave me faith that if people are listening to me, and I'm nobody, who am I? An ordinary 26-year-old young man, but people are listening to me. So that gave me even more faith. So I had doubt, but I dismissed the doubt and I allowed the doubt to go away.
That kind of reminds me also just of like my daily life as well. I often can, start to feel really self-doubtful about, or stressed by work, and then like the doubt just eats away at the joy in the work. But whereas especially when I'm in nature always reminds me to have trust and to have faith in the bigger picture and, the bigger understanding of life and my little role within it. So yeah, when I'm feeling anxious and stressed or sad and tired and overworked, remembering to have faith and trust really allows me to kind of to surrender and just to go back to enjoying and keep on going in a good direction, but not be so attached.
When you have a doubt, at that time, the antidote to doubt is a kind of faith and a kind of mantra. I chant a mantra. I will say, Shanti, 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 Shanti. Shanti means peace. So if you say Shanti within my heart, Shanti within my mind, Shanti with myself, peace with the world, peace in the universe, peace in my heart, peace, peace, peace. So by chanting that mantra of peace, I gained strength and I gained my faith and I gained my belief and I gained my energy.
Mm-hmm. And do you see your spiritual practice as essential to your activism?
Yeah.
And
yes. Because we are not just external beings. We are not just beings who are connecting with our family and our schools or our universities or our business. We are inside ourselves. The inner world and the outer world are two aspects of our existence. So if we don't look after ourselves, and if we don't look after our inner reality and inner being, then how are we going to be healthy and happy outside? So spiritual practice every day, doing yoga, doing some meditation, doing some reading of poetry, spiritual poetry, doing some gardening as a spiritual practice, and doing some daily ordinary work with love and compassion and kindness, and cultivating your love. Because in the end, the answer is love. All your questions can be answered in one word, love. And so how do you cultivate that love with our spiritual practice? So in order to cultivate love and compassion and kindness and generosity and trust, you have to work on yourself. And that working on yourself through spiritual practice gives you a way forward. And when you are strong inside with your spiritual practice, then you are strong outside. So if you take the examples of people like Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King and Mother Teresa, these people were strong inside because they had a spiritual practice. And then they were strong outside because inner strength and outer strength complement with each other.
Thank you so much. Satish, there's one other thing I would like to ask you. So there was a lot of your work, you talk about think global, act local.
Yes.
And in one of the questions is asking, what mechanisms do you find most empowering to harness a global community mindset in wealthy countries with regards to supporting poorer countries? And I just love you to talk a little bit about this global local relationship.
Yeah. The thing is that our mind and our heart can be as big as you want. Like a tree goes branches in the sky. So our mind and our heart can embrace the entire universe, and we can love whole of the world, and we can spread our ideas, our philosophy, our thinking, our music, our poetry. You can have a Shakespeare in India, and you can have yoga in England or in Europe. You can have African music in England, and you can have Shakespeare in Cape Town. You can have ideas and thoughts because they don't need aeroplanes. They don't need fossil fuel. They don't need trains. They don't need lorries. They don't need roads. They don't need ships. They travel in the air, and people can travel, of course. So thinking globally is very good. But as trees have roots in the soil, we should have our roots in the community where we live. So local food, local economy, local business, they are very important. If we buy food imported from Cape Town, or food imported from China, or food imported from California, that food has to travel by aeroplane or by ship or by some other means, and that will require fossil fuel, and that will require that will cause carbon emission, and that will create global warming. And so local economy, act locally, eat locally, trade locally, but think globally, because we are members of one human family. We are members of one planet Earth. And so this is our home, and this is our place to live, planet home. So we have to love everybody. We have to have a whole humanity in our heart. So expand your heart, expand your mind, expand your consciousness, and be united with the whole world. But at the same time, be part of your local community and grow your food within your local area, so that you can have fresh food and good clothes and good shoes made locally, without fossil fuel, without carbon emission, without transportation. So local economy and global thinking are two sides of the same coin. There's no contradiction between having a global mind and having local economy. There's no contradiction between having global heart and global love and global compassion. So this is like yin yang. This is a kind of inner and outer, two aspects of one reality. So I am a global consciousness man, but I live locally, and I go and do my shopping in my farmer's market locally. So that is my way of life.
I love that so much, Satish. We could probably both speak to you for hours longer, but sadly our 45 minutes has gone so quickly. unfortunately, there were some questions we weren't able to get round to it in the Q&A, but I do feel that we covered so much. Well, you covered so much, Satish, and I feel like you touched on.
But you also have covered very beautiful ideas. But I want to say that Resurgence magazine, and you are the trustees of two wonderful young trustees. Resurgence magazine promotes all these ideas of diversity, of unity, of global thinking, local acting, local trade, local economy, activism. All these. So if our young people who are listening to us are interested, please go to resurgence.org and find out about Resurgence and subscribe to our magazine. And for young people, there are some concessional rates as well. We can offer you some. So you can remain in touch, in constant contact with us through Resurgence magazine.
Resurgence are also doing some wonderful events. EcoResolution was lucky enough to partner with Resurgence last week on an event around leadership. And yeah, we really, really recommend checking out Resurgence, but also Satish's really wonderful books. And I'm sure people's parents would love them too.
A good Christmas present.
But also just to say that EcoResolution has set up something called the Changemaker Network, and we meet every month, and we're a global community of people who are exploring how they can take action in their communities and mobilize their networks to help kind of build the vision and help co-create the world that can thrive. And so you can check that out on EcoResolution, because we're welcoming more people to join all the time. And yeah, just to wrap up, I just want to say thank you, and thank you to Renaissance Foundation and all the incredible work you do, and to all the young people for tuning in and listening to us today. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the session as much as we have.
I've put the links to Resurgence in the chat box, including a link directly to subscribe to the magazine. It's 6 issues a year, and it's beautiful and inspiring. And I've also put a link to Satish's books, and the book about the pilgrimage that we've spoken about is called No Destination.
Yeah,
so you can see
wonderful.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Renaissance Foundation. Thank you very much. Thank you, Christabel and Ruby. Thank you very much for coordinating and inviting me. And thank you, Renaissance Foundation, for organizing this and inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been our pleasure, our absolute pleasure. We are absolutely bowled over by what we've heard, and we very much hope that this will be the start of, perhaps we can talk to you again, because the young people that couldn't join tonight, I know, would be utterly inspired, motivated, moved by what we've heard tonight. So on behalf of everyone, thank you to our guests. I'm so sorry we have to end, but we literally have to. We've got a breathwork session coming up, the deputy for mission coming up, and the peace gardens coming up. So we've got a jam-packed evening. So Sat, if you want to just quickly say goodbye and thank you as well, but really wonderful stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and just a big thank you to Christabel and Ruby for kindly organising this and partnering with us at EcoResolution and your work at Advaya, and a huge thank you to Satish for just inspiring all of us. There's so many quotes, it's just so inspiring. So just thank you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Great.
It's always good to work with Christabel and Ruby. They are my dear friends.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you all, and we will meet again hopefully. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you.